Josh Lipton here of the Josh Lipton vlog experiment. Day 27, 28, I always say the wrong day. What is somewhere out there in that range. I am vlogging to you from my house. I was gonna head out on my ride and my bike commute and find somewhere interesting along the way to stop off, but it was raining, so I figured I'd do this first, give it some time to maybe stop raining, or maybe I'll be riding in the rain today. We'll see. Anyways, here in my nice backyard, I've got my nice pink, what is this, azalea? I have no idea actually what it is. In the background, our beat up empty fountain that we're planning on filling up next summer and making into a little pool for the kids. Anyways, a nice cool rainy day here in Tucson, cooling off in the hot summer here with some rain. Today I'm going to talk about the problem of discussing technical management solutions as an entrepreneur, especially as an e-commerce entrepreneur, but really any online entrepreneurs who are not very tech savvy themselves have a big problem when it comes to tech management. And it's a lot of entrepreneurs figure it out even without becoming technical. They figure out how to partner with the right people. They figure out how to do enough of it themselves. They get some good strategies and they go with it, and it works for them to a certain extent. Now, I am actually of the mindset now at this point in my career that I got to the point a year ago realizing I needed to learn much more myself, and I started digging in over the last year. I've taught myself the basics of web development, and I've launched a business. I've just about launched a business in WooCommerce as a learning project. So I believe that learning the basics is really key. That said, I'm still no expert. I've just learned how to make my way around, and I still can't claim to be I still am in the camp of struggling with the deeper technical aspects as an entrepreneur, as an online entrepreneur. What I wanted to really focus in on is asking for advice when you're a non-technical online entrepreneur, and what the challenges are around that, what the difficulties are of asking for other people's advice. There's a couple people that you'll end up asking advice from. You're gonna ask advice from people that are successful developers who know what they're doing. You're gonna ask advice from people who are successful and they weren't technical themselves, so they found their own little avenue despite not being technical. And you might end up asking advice from people that are not technical and struggling themselves as well. So let me kind of break it down, what the type of advice and the problems with that advice you should anticipate from each type of person you might be asking. So if you go ask a developer, an entrepreneur and developer who is kind of doing their own thing, the problem with their advice is they can't see they've forgotten what it's like to not know how to do web development. They get you to focus on bigger problems. They'll focus you in on issues with technology. They'll just not understand that you're just trying to get through the basics, the basic understanding, and it's just really hard to read their advice. They'll give you kind of these bigger metaphorical issues with software that they think that they're actively thinking about, but that when you're just trying to get the basics, it doesn't really, maybe it should apply, but it's really hard for you to take on that level of sophistication in how you're thinking about software. And it's probably, and while it may apply, it's probably not that productive to focus on that at that point in the early days. When it comes to successful entrepreneurs who've gotten by without being technical, it's really hard to read their advice, because they'll often be saying, I did it this way, it worked for me, and so should you. What they may not realize is their way was not based on the fact, a non-technical person who's successful, their success is probably built on things like they have a very profitable product, something about their expertise, their business model, their products yielded a lot of profit, and they were able to take those profits and cover their lack of knowledge and pay for the technical expertise to get them by. Some entrepreneurs I've talked to, they do have technical, they seem to have better resources than they realize. So perhaps they had a partner early on, or maybe they actually, even though they're not technical, they have in their career they've managed a lot of technical people. They really know how to manage those people well and work well. Maybe they have a lot of good connections. They have something that's making that part of the problem work for them, and they may not recognize how important that is, and if they didn't have whatever ingredient, how much more difficult it would be. So that's been another frustrating area of people, another frustrating aspect of getting advice from non-technical people who seem to think that they know exactly how to get things done without being technical, and they do, but they don't really. They can do it, but it's not easily replicatable by someone else who doesn't have their exact set of circumstances. The people that are not successful, that are struggling themselves, their advice is, they often will be asking you for advice at that point. They're struggling themselves. They see that you've got a direction going. So in those circumstances, I've found I'm actually giving advice which I'm not that confident in. I'm telling people you should learn to be. I might be telling them, yes, you should learn web development yourself, or here's how you size it up. But I don't really know, because I haven't proven my case yet. I'm in the process of proving that learning web development is going to help me through my set of circumstances and help me get on track with growing my business. So, each area has its own problems. Advice is a tricky thing. When you're asking, I found when I'm asking for advice, a lot of people are telling me, oh, you're doing it all wrong, switch course immediately and go in this direction. But a lot of times you get really tied in with your technology. You build your processes around it. Your business is really kind of honed in. And if your business is somewhat fragile like mine is, it's not so easy to take a big risk and just rip things out and start anew. Maybe that's the right approach, but it's a big gamble. I was comparing it to, you have a cancer on your spine, and sure, you could just have the cancer ripped out, but it might kill you in the process. There might be some special technique that rips it out quickly, but that's highly dangerous. And then you think, well, how do I evolve my way out? And for my situation of being not in a great place technically, I've decided to evolve my way out, and that's taken the course of me learning web development. Anyways, advice is a tricky thing. My final thing to say about advice is keep asking. I believe that advice is very valuable from the perspective of it gets you talking, it gets you thinking about different perspectives. It won't necessarily give you the right answer, though sometimes it will. Sometimes you'll get an answer, you'll ask for advice, and you'll get some great advice, that something you hadn't thought of. I've also experienced where I'll get some advice and 2 months later I'll realize how great it was. So it's a tricky thing. Anyways, this has been day 28 of the Josh Lipton blog experiment. Thanks for watching, and you will see me tomorrow.